You hear about AI all the time, right? What it can do, what it can build, but what about what it costs? Today, we are going to break down a really powerful economic argument that AI's efficiency isn't some sci-fi future. It's here, right now, and it's on the verge of kicking off a massive wave of layoffs. In fact, that wave might have already started.
And look, this isn't just speculation. This quote really gets to the heart of the argument. What we're seeing aren't just a few isolated events. Nope, they're the first tremors, right before a massive economic earthquake hits.
So, where is all this coming from? Well, it starts with one specific, very public event that's being seen as a huge signal, kind of like the canary in the coal mine for the entire white-collar workforce. Let's take a look at that first domino. The company we're talking about is Block, which is run by Jack Dorsey. You probably know their products, like Square and Cash App. They just made a pretty stunning move. They laid off 4,000 of their 10,000 employees. Just let that number sink in for a second. 40%. I mean, this wasn't some minor trim around the edges to save a little cash. No, this was a fundamental reshaping of the entire company. And it's the reason they gave for it that makes this such a critical signal for every single one of us. And this is where things get really, really interesting. For years, right, companies have hidden layoffs behind all this vague corporate jargon, like synergies or optimizing for efficiency. But this time was totally different. The CEO was direct. He explicitly credited new intelligence tools, which, let's be honest, is just a cleaner way of saying AI. This is a huge moment because a major leader is finally saying the quiet part out loud. Okay, so that gets us to the real heart of the matter, the core economic driver behind this whole trend. Why would a company make such a drastic move? Well, it all comes down to a simple and frankly pretty brutal cost equation. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. According to the source's own math, rolling out an AI system to do a particular job can cost as little as 1 to 10% of what you'd pay a human employee. I mean, even if you do a terrible job implementing it, you're still looking at a 90% cost reduction. From a purely business point of view, that's a number that is almost impossible to ignore. But listen, the cost savings are really just the tip of the iceberg. An AI system is, on paper, the perfect employee. It works around the clock, 24/7, never sleeps. It can produce higher quality work than the average person. And it comes with zero of the overhead. No health insurance, no HR department, no vacation time. It's just a pure, relentless productivity machine. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but this is a choice companies can make, right? Well, the economic argument here goes a lot deeper. It suggests that once just one company makes that leap, it basically creates a pressure cooker environment that leaves competitors with, well, no choice but to follow suit. It forces everyone's hand. So here's how that chain reaction actually plays out. Imagine company A goes all in on AI and just slashes its operating costs. What do they do next? To grab a bigger piece of the pie, they lower their prices. All of a sudden, their competitors, who are still paying for human labor, just can't compete. As they start bleeding customers, their only option to survive is to adopt AI themselves. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't about one company's decision anymore. It's a chain reaction. The first one to jump creates this unstoppable, economy-wide pressure that forces everybody else to adopt it, whether they wanted to or not. It becomes a game of survival. And this is where we hit the real tension in this whole thing. See, this AI-driven efficiency isn't just one thing. It's a powerful force with two very, very different sides. It's like a coin. One side is destruction, and the other is creation. Okay, let's talk about the tough part first. The direct consequence of all this competitive pressure is widespread layoffs. And they're starting with white-collar jobs, roles in data analysis, customer support, copywriting, even some types of programming. The argument isn't that this is a possibility, it's that it's an inevitability. But on the flip side of that coin, there's a huge opportunity. When the cost of doing, well, anything just plummets, it creates its incredibly fertile ground for entirely new industries and businesses to pop up. Ideas that were just way too expensive to even think about before. The source gives this awesome example they call the robo-van effect. Just imagine transportation becomes, say, 80% cheaper because of self-driving cars. A hair salon no longer needs a physical building. An entrepreneur could just buy a self-driving van, outfit it, and have it come directly to you. Bam! A new job and a new service that just wasn't possible before. And you can apply that kind of thinking everywhere. Imagine super personalized AI tutors for every kid, or AI health assistants that can predict and prevent disease. These are things that were just unimaginable at scale before now. So we've been talking big picture, right? The layoffs, the competitive pressure, the potential for brand new industries. But let's bring this down to a personal level. Because at the end of the day, this massive economic shift presents a very, very real crossroads for every single one of us. And this is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? The one nobody has the answer to. We know jobs will be destroyed, and we're pretty sure new ones will be created. But what if there's a gap? What happens if the destruction starts moving way faster than the creation, even if it's just for a few years? According to this argument, there is just no time to sit around and debate it. The process is already in motion and it is moving with incredible speed. That first layoff at Jack Dorsey's company, that wasn't the train warming up in the station. That was the train blowing past the first stop at full speed. This isn't coming, it's happening. So this leaves each of us with what the source frames as a pretty stark choice. Path one is to adapt and adopt, to proactively learn these new AI tools and figure out how to use them to build your future. Path two is to ignore the shift, which means you're taking a huge risk that your profession gets disrupted, potentially leaving you behind. So, if you take away just one single thing from all of this, let it be this. It doesn't matter what your job is, how old you are, or what you think about AI. The one thing you absolutely cannot afford to be right now is complacent. The ground is literally shifting under our feet. Ultimately, that leaves all of us with a pretty intense and personal question. This change is as powerful and as undeniable as a freight train. The only real choice you have is where you're going to stand when it comes through.